So thank you, Mr. Lee, for having coffee with us today.
Thank you for the coffee.
So to start off, maybe, with your many years of experience working with young people, you can tell us about your impressions?
I must say that in SUTD, we create a lot of situations which challenge our students. And that, I think, brings out the best, in terms of their creativity, but also stimulates their thinking in terms of the impact that they can make on the human environment, the human condition. And that's why I think the purpose of design actually is so important.
Yeah, so that leads us to what are your insights into SUTD's design philosophy?
I think we want to be as ambitious as possible, meaning that we want to move beyond just making things that work for individuals and work very well for individuals. That's important, but we also need to have a social conscience. We also need to say what's the impact of what we're doing on society, on the broader objectives, not just of satisfying individual needs.
We just celebrated our 10th anniversary, and I also celebrated my 10th anniversary. So what, we have been working a lot on the next decade and the future plans. So what are your views of these future plans, and what do you think of them?
I think the areas that we've identified to focus on, such as healthcare, cities, aviation. These are really important areas. Cities, because more and more people are going to live in cities, and we know that the challenges of living in a city are not just faced by the individuals who live in cities, but by the whole community, and in fact the way in which cities develop will actually affect mankind. Healthcare, I don't think we need to debate, given our current challenges, not just in Singapore, but in all of Asia and potentially the world. And aviation, because not many people realize it, but aviation is also one of the chief contributors to global warming or to greenhouse gas emissions. But it is also a very key part of modern day life and modern day logistics. But how can we actually do aviation in a way which minimizes or reduces the impact on the world?
On the environment.
Yeah.
That we are educating every single student on data science and artificial intelligence. What are your views on that?
So data science, I think, is really the new literacy.
Yeah.
It's learning to speak not just in language, but in terms of being able to be supported by understanding how the world actually works.
Yeah.
But I think there's an additional responsibility when we look at technology, because sometimes we are not just looking backwards, we're also looking forwards. We're also trying to understand what the impact is of technology.
So SUTD have also invested in sending 100% of all students overseas for different periods of time. And what are your views on that?
I think it's very, very, very useful. I think you should ask the students themselves, but I think the experiences that you gain from both short and long courses are going to be things that you remember. I mean, if I were to think back about my own education, I don't remember the things that I studied, but I do remember the experiences that I had and the people I met and the friends I made. So I think those are the things which actually contribute to human development. A lot of the knowledge we start taking for granted, and we just build on it. We just keep building on it. But the ones that really give meaning to life, I think, is the human connections.
As you are also chairman of the Public Service Commission, so what advice do you have for students on their course of study as well as universities?
Yeah, so the Public Service Commission, or PSC, is actually an independent organ of state that's meant to ensure the independence of the public service. But it is, of course, most well known for the scholarships that it awards. There are times when the public service, as now, finds that it needs more people with technology, with digital literacy and so on. And so, of course, there is encouragement to follow those disciplines. But we really do take in a whole range of disciplines, because only with that diversity can we actually serve the public.
That leads us to our women cohort. At SUTD, we have 40% of the students who are female students. And what are your impressions of them?
I think it's highly unusual for a technology and engineering university to have such a high proportion of women, and I think it actually increases the environmental satisfaction of living, working, studying in such a school.
So thank you for the coffee, Mr. Lee, and we will have another coffee session soon. Thank you very much.